Why?
So thank you for doing this interview with us. So just tell us your name and your occupation.
I'm Maire Spillane and I'm a secondary school teacher in Killarney Community College.
So talk about when and why you went into this occupation.
I suppose I did a year of something else first in college and then I had my son, so I decided that teaching, well, I loved teaching anyway, but I decided that being a mum at a reasonably young age, that just having the same holidays and things, and then I've always loved science, so I became a science teacher.
Lovely. Did you know anyone with the conditions we're studying prior to becoming a teacher?
I probably would have looking back, but you become more in tune, I suppose, or aware of things as a teacher and you learn about the conditions. Yeah.
So in your teachings, have you ever come across anyone with these conditions? And if so, what challenges did you witness them face in your subject?
I suppose, yeah, I have had students with the conditions in my class, and I suppose with science that sometimes doing experiments, maybe certain experiments might be, I suppose with children on the ASD spectrum, that it can be, a bit of an over, a lot on the senses, that, so I suppose if there's loud noises or smells or different things like that, it can affect them. But mostly, students would be okay, and you'd kind of brief a student if you realise that something might be a bit challenging for them and see if they're okay to take part. And I suppose because I used to teach maths and there'd be little bits of maths and science as well, I suppose you might see challenges with students who'd alter or do different worksheets with different students to try and cater for everybody.
So what challenges had you faced when being confronted with someone with one of these conditions?
I suppose it wouldn't make a huge difference. You'd kind of be aware of it, but sort of generally you could, you're aware of different levels in your class. And I suppose just to maybe when you're assigning homework, to know that, like, what to expect from different students, that you mightn't be expecting that one student could fill the whole thing out, no bother. And then another student might answer questions 1, 2, 3, and that's fine, and that's enough for them, that you're just aware of that each student is an individual, even with or without the conditions that we're discussing, So, yeah.
Was teaching those with one or more of the conditions different to what you had expected?
I suppose I probably didn't know what to expect at the start, and then it probably was, because maybe you would have expected them to stand out more or something, but that they often don't, that they can just, I even hate saying conditions, but I know it's what you're saying, but it's to bring in the whole number of the conditions that you're talking about. But I suppose generally you become more aware of it, which is probably fine, because you'd probably teach away, be up at the top of your class and be like, okay, they're grand or whatever. He's struggling a bit, but I don't fully know why. So I suppose when you're aware of it, you do cater more towards every student, and you differentiate between us, that you would, like I was saying, have one worksheet for one student or one for another. But at the same time, it's not like you're making an issue of handing something different to somebody else that they don't stand out, because nobody wants to stand out, especially teenagers, in the sense that we all, obviously, are all individuals and all the rest of it, but you don't want to stand out that, oh, there's something weird or odd about me, so it's just to include everybody and treat everybody the same as well.
So having a profession which is in the education system, do you believe through the years it has altered itself to suit individuals with the conditions?
Yeah,
what's changed?
Yeah, I suppose even going back to when I was in school, and as I said at the start there, that you wouldn't have been aware that there was someone with some of these conditions in school, but when you look back, there would have been, you just, because it wasn't catered for as well. When I was in school, it definitely wasn't. I don't think I'd even heard of it, when I was in school, which isn't 100 years ago, it's not a huge number of years ago. But definitely, even since I started teaching, which is 2006, so what's that, 15 years ago, I suppose, yeah, that there is definitely has been, even in our school and in other schools, that there is a unit that is catering for students with certain conditions. So that's wonderful, that, like, that they can go to mainstream school. That doesn't have to be, another school that's somewhere else. So if they're siblings, they could be going to the same school, and so I definitely feel, and especially in our school, I just think, this huge amount has been done. Even I'm in the school, is it 11 years this year? And just even in that length of time, that there's definitely, I feel anyway as a teacher, that in the school that we do cater for everybody, and everything is done that could be done. I hope, I do see that, and I do hope that students benefit from that also.
What is the best part of your job?
The best part, I suppose, dealing with students. I love working with young people, and just even like that, seeing all the different personalities and different things that they can bring to a class, and just seeing when something clicks when you're teaching something, and it clicks and they get it, and you're like, you don't feel like you're hammering your head against the wall or something. And I suppose, like, I love working in this school. I know, like I said, that I've been here for 11 years or so, but just, I suppose, your staff and your colleagues as well is a huge part, and it makes working somewhere much easier if you get on well with your colleagues, and you see that they also have the love of teaching that you have, and that they do their best for all of the students that they come across each day.
If you could tell your past self anything before they started teaching, what would you tell them?
Don't do it, I'm only joking. No, I suppose to not feel maybe as kind of like nervous nearly going into a class, that like, just be yourself as a teacher in class. Don't be afraid to show your personality. You're nearly told, oh, you have to be this way, sort of strict, and don't laugh for the first week or whatever, and kind of, but like, you can, like, students do, I think, come out of themselves a little bit more if they see you, not that obviously you're going to be professional and teaching all of your topic and to the best of your ability, but that don't be afraid to show your personality, that like get stuck in, and sort of it helps with certain subjects, that you can kind of relate it to everyday life and all of that. So yeah.
Any final words? Anything you want to say?
I suppose for me, I would have known about autism, but in 2009 I worked, in the summer I volunteered with Surf to Heal. I don't know if you heard of that organisation, that they work with children with autism. So I suppose that was the summer before I started here. So I suppose I came into this school knowing that they were really good, and the work that they did with children with autism, and then with the other conditions also that you have mentioned. So
Lovely.
yeah, so
thank you very much for doing
Thank you for your time.